Okay, Mike Masato, CEO of Staff Driven Dental and the Dental Road Warrior, returning for episode 44 in the series. So today I want to give little words of wisdom for you to use on a daily basis, going into your practice. Some days you're headed in there and it's like, I don't know if I'm up for this. I'm on top of my game. We know how we feel going into work some days. We all have it. It's human nature, not necessarily be in the spirit of things or have the kind of energy and enthusiasm we need for our work on a daily basis. But unfortunately, as a leader in your practice, docs, you don't have that luxury of having an off day. You have them, and it is greatly to your detriment. You think about this. If you only got 15, 18, 19, 20 days of production a month, you better be at the top of your game. Because if we're not at the top of our game going in the best state of mind possible, it's really going to affect your numbers at the end of the month. Having several off days, so to speak. And when you're on your game. When you're on your game clinically, and things just click and things are going well, and you're really happy with your work. And there's times you get out of those procedures and go, man, I know I could have been better than that. I could have had could have done better with that. It wasn't my best work. Well, the same thing goes to how you be with yourself and how you carry yourself in the practice on a day-to-day basis, and how you are with your team, how you are with others, how you are on the business end of what you do every day. That's also just as important, when you go in there and having two things: the proper intention and where is your attention during the course of a day. So I want to talk about intention and attention, two very important words, because it's all about this. On a daily basis. First thing is intention. And I've definitely touched on intention throughout the course of this series when I've talked about purpose, and that's a big part of intention. But really clearly having in your mind what it is you want to achieve in your day. Just take it a day at a time. We look at this whole big picture. Sometimes we get overwhelmed. Like, where do I begin? Where do I start? Where do I? How's this day going to work out? You need to just take it a day at a time, one day at a time. One little game initially each day, because you always want to be planning toward the future. But each day you go in there, like, you should be thinking about, what is my intention? What is my positive, leave the word positive, intention? What do I have in mind now that I want to achieve personally, professionally, and with my practice each day that I go in? That's what the morning huddle is a good day to do. It's to set the intention for the team. So when we get together as a team, we meet, we want to make sure that everybody's intention's in the right place. Like, what are we all here for today? What are we looking to achieve today? Not just financially, but overall in the practice, in terms of achieving our goals, in serving our patients, in helping and supporting each other out as a team, having the proper intention in place going forward, because what's going to happen when you start your day. There will be some pushback. And that's where the resistance to counter intention comes, which is part of every day. And if your intention is very strong going in there every day, you're going to overcome a lot what's thrown at you. So the intention going in every day, starting your day, having that clearly defined in your mind and what you want to achieve and going forward with your team. And again, the morning huddle is a good way to make sure that's set, and we're all on board for that during the day. It's not just to go through who's in the book. It's really to check intention levels here. And it starts and ends with you, Doc, because again, you are, as a leader in the practice, setting the goal, setting the bar for that when you go in there. But as important as that is attention. We don't talk about attention a lot. It's, what are you really looking at? See, a lot of coaching is, what are you looking at over the course of your day? What has got your attention? So if your attention's not on what's going on in your practice, big mistake, because we can easily get distracted by outside things. It happens. If you notice when your attention's elsewhere, you're physically there, in the practice, but maybe mentally and emotionally you're not there. And team can be that way as well too. If your attention's on all kinds of personal matters and other kinds of different turmoils or things you're struggling with, it makes it very difficult, to achieve, what's going on presently right in front of you. Do you know what it's like when you have your full attention on your patients when they come in? Do you have your full attention on your staff's needs and the needs of your practice when you go in there every day? Are you distracted, and are you elsewhere? Because again, physically you can be there, but elsewhere, you could be elsewhere, mentally, emotionally during the course of a day. So you don't want to be elsewhere. You want to be there and present and interactive of what's going on throughout the course of the day. You can't have that disconnect from your practice. So what are you looking at? And a lot of coaching is like, Doc, you're looking at this over there. You really need to put your attention on this. This is what's the priority. Because a lot of times we're looking at the wrong thing. And it's very easy to get sucked into looking at the negative. And that's, again, I've talked about human nature. That's what happens. You know, look at how you do a huddle, for example. You know, you're going through the day, and you know you're looking at this, and all of a sudden there's that patient, you know, smack in the middle of the day, the famous Mary Maniac who I've talked to you about before, that patient who's right there, and you know it's going to be hell when she comes in, because she always is like that, and we haven't let her out of the practice yet, even though we should have, right? And, you know, all our attention goes to her. We have 15 people scheduled for the day, and we're spending 20 minutes, you know, worried about what's going to happen with her when we go into the practice today. You know, and she sucks our time and energy. And our attention becomes all about that, to the exclusion and the detriment of all the 14 other great patients and positive patients that are in the schedule for the day. So we're wired, unfortunately, to be critical and negative. And that's why it's so important to check to where our attention is. Are we keeping it positive? Or is it everything? Is it a positive conversations going on, positive actions going on throughout the course of a day, and really focusing on that? Yeah, and the challenge that, and the great leaders that rise up to the occasion, constantly refocus and put their attention on what's working. We can always talk about what's not working. Very easy to do that, all about this, but you know, it's like even when I have doctors share, you know, wins and successes sometimes in my program, you know, some of them will get up and go, well, we had this great thing happen and this great thing happen and we achieved this month, but, and then the but comes in. They can't leave the but out because the attention immediately has to go to, but what about the negative stuff that's going on? What about all this kind of stuff? Okay, yeah, I get it. That's part of any day. There's going to be some kind of negative things or some negative setbacks. But you know, the more attention you put on it, and this is the way it works, by the way. Whatever you put your attention on, you have a tendency to have more of. Let me say that again. Whatever you put your attention on, you have a tendency to have more of. Okay, so the more you put your attention on the negative, let's say we have a negative staff member that we need to resolve and take care of, and we're letting that person be in that practice every day, and we haven't resolved that issue. We haven't moved on from that person or made a change. Think of how much attention that's sucking from you right now. You only have so much attention you can give, and then you become like scattered. You're all over the place. But just think how much when you have that person in the back of your mind thinking about, how much time it absorb you thinking about that negative influence in the practice. Right? And what is that costing you to have your attention on that negativity, even if it's in the background every single day? Right? Because, and again, the more we put attention on this person, notice that one person. Well, you're saying it's only one person. Yeah, it's only one person, but that one person becomes all-consuming to the detriment of everybody else in there, and to the exclusion of everybody else sometimes, and that's problematic. So you see how this works with the intention level in your practice. How important it is, you know, to make sure that we have our attention in the right place and keeping it positive and getting the things out of your environment that are sucking your attention onto the negative, right? Really just so important to look at this, things like having it. How about this? Having it, two things, having attention on the goal, which is the prize at the end. Like, what goal are we setting for ourselves? That's why goals are so important, because it keeps our attention on the finish line, not on what's going on in the day-to-day. Keep your attention on the big picture. What's the goal we have for this month? What do we got to achieve? What's our financial numbers we're looking to make? Keep playing the game. Have the staff keep the attention on that. Because when their attention starts going on to each other, the game becomes internal. We don't want that. And I can tell you one last bit of advice. The most important thing to put attention on is yourself, Doc. You know, whoever's listening to this, we often neglect ourselves. You know, if you're a mom out there listening to this, you know what I mean. You know, my kids, everything else in the world comes first, and I put myself second, third, fourth, fifth, or last, or whatever. And to what detriment when you do that? Because you got to put attention on yourself. You can't neglect yourself on various levels. You got to make sure you put attention on yourself. You should constantly be looking at yourself. That's what coaching does. It makes you constantly look at yourself by holding up that mirror of self-analysis and saying, look, you know, here's what's going on over here. Because sometimes we have blind spots. Like I said, you don't see this like other people see you. So it's very important to put and then the other thing is putting the attention on the positive stuff first. You know, here's another bit of advice. If you want to improve someone, point out what's right about them. You know, if I went around blasting my clients and their staff about how bad they are and how insufficient they are and inadequate they are, they're shutting down. They're not listening to that all day long. But if I praise them for their positive qualities, and there are many positive qualities going, it's not all bad, yeah, they're more likely to hear about the other stuff that may not be up to speed and improve on that, right? And sometimes we're our own worst critics. We beat ourselves down, we attack ourselves, we get on ourselves, and we make ourselves feel like we're inadequate, insufficient, or not good enough. We got to stop doing that, right? Point out what's right about yourself. Look at what's right about you first, and things start getting better. You want your team to get better? Start pointing out what's right about them first, and then they'll hear about improving the other things. You want to look at your practice, make that better? Don't look at it from such a negative eye all the time and looking at what's all negative and not working all the time and, whatever. Put it on the positive first, right? And that's like a validation of yourself in the practice, and that opens a path for improvement in a positive way, all right? So there's my philosophical words of wisdom for today in this episode. Hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope you're enjoying the series. If you please share this with others, spread the word, and I'll be back before you know it with another episode. Thanks for watching again.